And for more on the face-off between the union and the federal government, which has escalated with the federal government directing vice chancellors to withhold lecturers' salaries over the industrial action, I'm joined by Professor Samaila Mande. He's the president, Academy of Management, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us on the news tonight.
Thank you so much.
Well,
ASUU,
thank you so much. Well, ASUU gave government a 14-day ultimatum before downing tools. The education minister says the union acted in bad faith and says government has addressed all its demands. Who should we believe here? Do you think that ASUU moved too quickly or did the government move too slowly?
Thank you very much for your question, and I'm happy the way you are putting it. The idea there is very clear. To start with, ASUU gave 14 days demand notice. In other words, with that, a party that is now aware of that notice is expected to respond. But I need to make it very clear that once there is any issue or conflict, the most important is for the parties involved to work towards resolving the issue. Now, when a party in an issue decide to give an ultimatum, what is expected that the other party is expected to look at the various issues raised in those ultimatum. And so what is expected is to now give some response, not just to completely not respond to those ultimatums. So the most important is that ASUU on its own gave an ultimatum. And so it is expected that the other party should equally respond, because we are talking about resolving an issue. And if the issue was attended to, so the situation that we have now got into this evening wouldn't have got into that kind of a thing. But the most important thing is to look at those terms and conditions. It is not to talk about saying not responding to it. To start with, like I told you earlier, an ultimatum was given. So the other party is expected to look at the conditionalities on those terms so that you work towards it. Because the most important about resolving an issue is to look at it, even if it is some of maybe 50%, then the other party has looked at it, okay, I've looked at your condition, so this is where we are going to now. So we have resolved 25% of it. It will not be known for the other party. But in this case, from the way things are, we are meant to understand when the ultimatum was given, the other party showed no response to those issues of demand.
But that's not what the Minister of Education is saying. In fact, he says that the government has, addressed all, in his words, the demands of the union, including the 50 billion naira released for allowances, the promotion arrears, the 25-35 wage award. There's a long list the minister highlighted on a national broadcast earlier today. He says the demands have been met, so he sees no reason why the union should go on strike. And that's why I ask you again, who do we really believe as Nigerians? But let's move beyond that, because the government has now invoked the no work, no pay policy. Has that really resolved any industrial action, or does it just harden both sides? If you recall that this administration came in and one of the first things they did to draw the unions close in their own dialogue process was to pay the outstanding of no work, no pay policy under the previous administration of President Muhammad Buhari.
Thank you very much. Now, remember, the payment made, there is still a balance of about 3 months and a half that is yet to be attended to. Is part of the demands that I understand the ASUU is demanding. And so if there is anything that has to do with that, the most important is to work towards settling the outstanding. But we need to make it clear that government owns the institution. And ASUU, as a body, knows that they are out to satisfy the needs and yearning of Nigerians by attending to their own obligation as lecturers of the university. When we talk about resolving issues has to do with transparency. To start with, what were the agreed demands? Are those agreed demands known to the parties involved? Yes. Now, has there been any effort towards resolving some of these issues? Yes. Then the issues resolved need to be glaring and need to be open. I'm quite sure there are issues left and right that has to do with some other expectation which has not been attended to. But whatever government has done, government will also make it open, transparent, and for all to see. But ASUU as a body or as an organization, it equally has its own demand or unmet demand. So whatever government has done, they needed to also reckon with it. So whatever is left with, say let that be addressed, because we are talking about resolving issues. And part of the demands here is the non-payment of outstanding of 3 months that I have salaries that have not been attended to. So if there is anything that government has done in that area, let the indices or the justification be provided so that Nigerians can confirm that that has been done. Because we are talking about issues management. We do not want issues to degenerate into crisis. And when parties are involved, the most important thing is to dialogue on the terms and conditions, and then you work towards resolving the issues. Not talking about we've resolved. And the idea of talking about no work, no pay, there is no basis to degenerate the issue. Government, you hold the hammer. But the most important thing is to work towards resolving the issue. We know where we are coming from. Even the payment of the outstanding 3-month salary is also a product of no work, no pay. So we will not want such a thing to continue. From the Academy of Management Nigeria, we are talking about attending to the needs and wants of the workforce. And whatever you are going to do to make sure that your capital, the human capital, is attended to effectively is the key word that the Academy of Management is interested.
Okay.
So whatever we are going to do towards resolving this issue as quick as possible is very, very important. Thank you.
Indeed. Very well said, Professor. And we do appreciate your time and your insights on the news tonight. Professor Samaila Mande is the President, Academy of Management in Nigeria.